Oh, yeah, recording.
Got about 11 people in here. I have nobody else left in the waiting room, so you guys just decide what you want.
Perfect. We'll give them all a few momentes.
Sounds good.
Dun, dun, dun. Everybody just type in the chat where you're from. We always like to kind of get a gauge of East Coast, West Coast. It just helps us also know if this time of night, or if you're overseas, day, works best. So that's why it's kind of important for us just to find out where you're from. It's just super, super helpful. Um, we toy around quite a bit if we should do things midday, mornings, on a weekend, etc. Um, Obviously, with a diverse crowd, it's always hard, but the best we try and maximize it for everybody else. And then the replays are always available as well. We love sending out the replay just because, Alex might give you some nugget and then next week you want to implement it and you go, crud, I don't remember what she said. So this way you can log back into that replay, kind of fast forward to midway or wherever it is you think that little nugget of information was. And then it just helps to reinforce the memory a little bit. Because it's not like we don't all have a million and one things going on in our lives, right? As you see all the sticky notes behind me from all the notes that I take and things I need to implement yet. So it's all a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. But
I was looking at that behind you. I like your process.
yeah, so the goal is that by the end of the year, those are mostly white.
Okay. So you
So
pull them off when they're done?
yep, we pull them
That's
off when
awesome.
they're done. Yeah, yep. Um, yeah, so it's been good. You see this one is, mostly
Yeah.
white.
Oh, you're
That one's
doing
very
well.
white. That one's our little flow chart thing. And yeah, this is the one that I'm really trying to give some focus to. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Those visual cues, I mean, it plays right into the gamification. I mean, you see it
right?
all the time. It reminds you to do it. You get to pull it off. There's a sense of reward. It's wonderful. It's a great idea.
Huge. Yes, huge sense of reward. I know.
Yeah.
I tell my staff I am very anti sticky note. Don't ever give me a sticky note because I will lose it
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times. I will absolutely lose it. But I love sticky notes for this type of purpose.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah. Otherwise, if you need to tell me to do something or remind me of something, that's why we have all these fun little apps. So
Hmm.
that way, it's like there. But yeah, nope, my sticky notes. Plus, if I'm sitting here and I'm like, what should I work on next? I can just look at it and like pull something off and
That's
tackle
great.
it to the best of my ability. Yeah. Yes, I love my little visuals. Heather gets to come and participate soon. We can do more visuals.
Hard pass.
Heather's like, heck no. All right, look at this. All right, we are all over the board. We got California, New York, Connecticut. Hey, another Ohio, Texas, Boise, Idaho. All the good stuff. Fabulous. Beautiful. Well, good. Looks like we have a nice representation all across the board. So this time frame seems to still work out pretty good. And then if you're on the replay, certainly give us info and feedback on that as well. So without further ado, Alex, we're going to let you get started with all the fun stuff. Please dress up as I was just reading that,
Yes.
Lena.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. Yeah, another Wisconsin. Love it. All right. So staffing, right? I think if we all agree if we could clone ourselves, that would be where we go with it. But in this industry, we have to have staff. We have to figure out how can we engage our staff to keep them with us, because the longer that staff stay with us, the easier everything gets because they know the rhythm, they know the expectations, they know how everything works, right? uh, it's also financially just so much better to keep staff on than constantly training new staff. So Alex has got a great way. Game on, staff engagement that works. I love the title. And engaging our staff is just something that I think we all just need to work on a regular basis. So without further ado, Alex, give us a little bit of background on you and then go ahead and get started.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having me. Alex Varney here from Central Ohio. You can see my screen, yeah? Thumbs up, at least for me. Hopefully you can see
I
it.
can see your screen just fine.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, well, I've been at a facility for 10 years. We're family owned and operated, so like a lot of facilities, we started out as a passion project, didn't quite realize how hard it was going to be, and learned through a lot of trial and error. So one of the things that I really like to do with my new industry knowledge is to try to help other businesses because probably about 5 years in, I burned out. I pretty much hated everything about the pet care industry and a lot of my staff and my building and, everything about it. And so I had to kind of take some time and learn what I was doing wrong. So I attended, leadership training and a lot more conferences and went back to school. So I kind of learned all of these things to try to help myself. And now I want to help other people never feel the way that I felt. I let my business drag me down. And so now I want to help people build theirs up so they don't have to experience the same thing. So I've got a bachelor's in psychology from Ohio State University. Been in business, like I said, for 10 years, and now I have Considerably Bold, which is mostly resources for other pet care businesses and some light consulting. And I now speak at conferences as well. As of the past year, I've been going around the country and kind of speaking on usually topics of staff engagement, organization, policies and procedures, kind of all of those fun little topics are my jam. I love them. Um, Now we'll actually get into the bulk of what we're going to talk about. And if you've ever listened to me before, I do tend to talk fast, and that's mostly because I load up all of my PowerPoints with as much information as humanly possible. So I'm glad that these are recorded because you may have to go back. So don't worry about taking notes or screenshots or anything else. Luckily, Dog Handler Academy is going to send it all back out to you. So if you do need anything again, it will be in here because there are words on my PowerPoint too. So today we're going to really dive into three main categories and then all the beautiful details in between. So number one is going to be the why. Why is culture important? Why is engagement from our team members important? How do we build a stronger culture through engagement? And then real examples and tips that I've learned over the 10 years working at my facility that you can hopefully, creatively change and implement at your own facility or use as kind of a launching board into some brand new idea. And at the end, we'll kind of allow everybody to type in examples of things that have worked really well for them because I'm just one person. I learn from other people. We all learn from other people's experiences. So I want to give us an opportunity to share that. So first, what is culture? Culture is the environment of your employees. It's what they experience every single day. If you look at it, it's going to be the makeup of all the customers that people are interacting with, all of the fellow employees, every single pet. It's the building's aesthetic, how it looks, how it sounds, how it smells. It's the safety aspects. It's the benefits as part of their employment with you. It's the support of the leadership team. It's the dress code. It's the actual job itself. So culture encompasses everything. It's the whole environment that they're experiencing every single day. And while we can dream of creating a perfect culture, the truth is, the people typically building the culture are usually one or two in a building. Like for a long time, it was just myself. And I am one person and I can't build a perfect culture on our own. So one of the things that I really want to discuss is how important it is to get your team members involved in building the culture, because you really just need to have everybody participate to make it actually work really well. So how can we get the team involved? That's where the engagement comes in. But why is it really important? So these are a little bit self-explanatory, and honestly, we could talk about culture for 800 years and we would never be done with it because there's so many details and fun things to do with it and lessons to be learned. But I tried to break it down into 5 key reasons that it's really important that we focus our efforts on team engagement and our culture. Number one is going to be increased productivity. Besides team members feeling more satisfied with their work, if you shape engagement, the productivity actually goes up, which of course helps our business's bottom line. Lower turnover, as Eve mentioned earlier, I calculated it recently. It's probably about $1,500 per lost and new gain of an employee for our business. And I probably missed some of the factors in there. So it's really expensive to have to hire a new employee, and that number does not even count. Whatever you would decide the monetary cost is for headaches and errors from a new employee and trying to integrate them into a culture, there's a lot of emotional impact there too for your team. So having lower turnover by having a culture where people want to stick around and engage with it is really, really beneficial, not only financially, but to the culture as a whole. Better well-being. So engaged employees are more satisfied with their job, of course, which means they have lower stress. And oftentimes that means that the mental health can be a little bit better. Having a stronger brand, if you have engaged employees, they don't feel as bad wearing your t-shirt out in public. You kind of gain confidence that the team members that are with you are out there spreading good words instead of bad words, which can help you gain clients, other talented team members. So basically they're walking good, positive advertisements for you and your brand. So it helps build that brand. Then greater commitment. Of course, employees, when you have them engaged, they are committed to your goal. It's not just a job, it's something that they believe in. So they're going to work harder for it. So these are all obviously really good reasons to spend a little bit more time on team engagement, but we have to go into the details. So it all sounds really lovely, but how the heck do you do it? Before that, we really even need to understand what team members want. So when we talk about culture and engagement, they do go hand in hand. Our team members want the engagement and they want to be engaged because of that culture is bringing feelings of belonging. They want to feel like they have control over their lives and environment. People want to learn and grow. They want to be appreciated and be rewarded for what they're doing. They want to be themselves and be accepted for it. And they want benefits, fun, and new experiences. So all of these items we can kind of nudge in the right direction and help support that culture, the need of people working with us through engagement and the games that we play to get there. So culture and engagement, since they are complex, once again, we could talk about it forever, how to do it. There are all these nitty-gritty details, but the important parts are these 5 things. So number 1 would be rewarding really well. So rewards can't always just be something small or a pat on the back. Sometimes they have to be a little bit more than that. An example that I was thinking of when I was building this was, you know, when you go to the fair and you have the little games that you can play where you could win like a half-dead goldfish in a bag and you don't want it, so you don't play the game and you walk away. But if the next game has something like a car, you may still have to put in more effort and time and energy, but the reward is a car. So that's going to be a much stronger candidate for your energy. So same thing with these games that we are going to talk about and the activities that we're going to make for our team. They really have to have a benefit to the individual or it's just not going to work. It's not going to be engaging. So number 2 is going to be give power. If you were the single person in your business that's trying to create all of this stuff, you could really come up with the coolest game or activity in the whole wide world. But it doesn't matter if you can't get everybody else on board with it, or even at least your leadership team to help promote it. So one of the best things that you can do to get engagement, even with the idea that's brilliant, is to have somebody else come up with it or suggest it, which means that we have to share some power to think and create and roll out engagement opportunities, which we'll talk about a little bit more detail. Next is going to be to break up the work. So it's nice to have, you know, one party once a year. Maybe it's like a Christmas party, or we have one that's called the Summer's End Party where we celebrate surviving another summer. If you just have one thing a year, it's not really consistent enough to be a piece of your culture. So you want to break it up so that the whole team is able to interact with it and it's spread out across the calendar. And you want to get feedback, of course, too. If you were the only one coming up with ideas, that's great, but you have one brain which has, you know, kind of a certain set of experiences and thought processes and perspectives, and it doesn't encompass everybody on your team. So getting feedback from other people is another topic I could talk about forever, but I actually have one more slide on it because I love feedback. So this is something that would be really, really valuable. You want to take into consideration other people's opinions and thoughts before we start rolling out games and planning activities. And then communicating well. Even if you still have that sweet idea, let's talk about even a service that we have. Let's say you have a great idea for a service for the dogs at your care. Have you ever had one that has actually flopped really disappointingly? Maybe it's because we didn't spend enough time advertising. Maybe because the way that we were promoting it was confusing. Maybe we forgot to tell the front desk about it to actually suggest it to our customers. There are a lot of reasons that new services or new ideas or even new businesses can fail. And it's kind of the same thing with our engagement opportunities. If we have this great idea, we still have to communicate it really well. We have to hype it up internally, and we have to get people to actually want to engage with it before it happens. So communication is very, very important on how to create more engagement and a better culture. We're going to move into some engagement tips. So this is, again, preemptive to the actual examples because it's really important. You can't just say, let's play more games together and then just make it happen. We're going to need to put some effort in. So the first one's going to be getting that feedback. And these are actually real examples. Don't judge me. I've got about 40 employees. You see probably what, 15, 16 responses in a couple of these surveys. This was relatively new to us this year. We made it one of our goals. And one of the first things that we asked our team was, what the heck do you want us to invest time in? What if we were to come up with it, games or events, what would you actually show up to? And instead of me deciding what I thought everybody would like, I just asked everybody. And so some of these are some of the questions that I have. We had the summer's end party, which a decent amount of people, enough people said that they would show up to, that we went ahead and created it. Mini massages was not really. Lunch and learns was high value to our team members. Decorating contests, and then we had kind of a list, and of course another opportunity for people to give their own ideas, which was really interesting. Somebody said bring elephants, so that wasn't going to happen.
So how often do you survey your staff? Do you do it yearly, twice a year?
Yeah, good question. We do monthly. I changed the themes of it. So
Oh,
quarterly, we do kind of a pulse, or we just ask, how are you feeling? What could we do better? Are you okay with like the communication? Are there any tools you think of that can make your job better? This particular one I've done yearly. I might end up doing it every 6 months just to make sure I'm capturing everybody.
okay.
We have a lot of students too.
Yeah, I usually do it yearly, so that's where I was just inquiring
Yeah.
because I've been thinking too that yearly isn't quite enough, that it needs to be more frequently. So
Yeah, I tend to want to plan the whole entire year, but I actually just learned at a meeting I just had recently that not everybody likes when I plan the whole entire year. So to me, it's beneficial because I'm like, okay, in
right.
fall, we're doing this, in summer,
Check,
we're doing this.
check.
These are when our training classes are being held. But then it becomes so rigid that it doesn't really work. So it's a lesson I've actually just learned recently. Like you cannot plan a whole year. So I'm thinking now quarterly or at least every 6 months for something like this to make sure that I'm still staying in touch with people.
Yeah. And then and maybe you'll get to this, but what are some examples of lunch and learns that you've offered?
We actually have one coming up. So we have his name's David. That means absolutely nothing to you, but he runs a leadership consulting business. So he does
Oh,
meta leadership training. And he also speaks for our Southwest Leadership Academy, which is a local leadership academy run by our Chamber of Commerce. We're having him come in for a couple of hours and talk to pretty much everybody with leader in their title. So it's going to be all of our managers, which are required. And then we invited like our boarding lead, our daycare lead, our media team lead, and a couple of other up and comers to come see it. But we're also going to record it and have it available.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So just trying to get a variety of topics. So sometimes it's pet related. A lot of times my focus tends to be just how to go out and live your life really well. So it's a lot
Right.
of personal development as well.
Yeah, I know when I had questioned my staff, one of the things that they wanted to learn was how to have boundaries with their family.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. That's like really
Yeah.
detailed.
Conversations with family members and boundaries with family members. And I was like, okay, so yeah, I had a therapist come in and specifically, and it was right before the holidays, and it was how to hold boundaries and also how to excuse yourself from conversations and situations where you don't want to be. So yeah, they
Love
found it
that.
very engaging. So just a little nugget.
No, that's great. I'm actually going to write that down when I watch the replay. No, that's helpful. I think like every industry, you have a bunch of leaders out there, a lot of people with great experiences. And if you don't tap into some other markets for your own education or for others'
Right.
education, then you're just missing a good opportunity. So the therapist is genius. I mean, really, even if you brought in like a restaurant person, like they would be able to give you feedback on even, how you store your food and like efficiency of service, just it's always so beneficial to talk to other people.
Absolutely. And your local universities have a plethora of professors
Oh yeah.
that typically are more than happy to come in and just chat for free. Like they just find it invigorating for them to come out and do that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've tapped a few local professors that came in and just thought it was super cool to talk to my staff about various things
I love that. That's a great idea.
and continue on.
Okay. All right, so we get feedback, we decide what our teams actually want. After that, we need to make a plan. So as I just mentioned, I planned out the whole entire year, which I wouldn't recommend. I would say maybe every 6 months, you kind of plan the second half of the year. If you're really ambitious, maybe quarterly. But I created a calendar for the whole entire year or moving forward the time period in which I'm going to actually do it. And that calendar is displayed. It's also given to like our reception desk, every single manager, the grooming salon, the training room. So it's spread out throughout the building so that everybody has access to see, when's the next meeting? Like, what are we doing? We have ice cream day on here. Our media team uses this as well. So we have things like Black Cat Appreciation Day was August 17th. So these items not only share and communicate really well, it also creates a little bit of engagement because people do look at our calendar and they see ice cream day. So now they're like, well, what's ice cream day? And so I get to tell them in person. Hopefully by that time I've put out some marketing material. But not only does it increase the engagement and the communication, but it actually gets more people kind of involved with the rest of the building. So that cultural piece where I know specifically for us, our daycare attendants, if they're only trained in daycare, they often feel like they're not connected to the rest of the building or they don't always know what's going on. If you have a grooming salon, this tends to be how we feel about groomers sometimes too, is they're in their own space, they do their own thing, they're not really a big piece of the culture. So having something that kind of pools all of the information from the whole building and shares goals and games and fun is really beneficial. Okay, so then we plan it. The next tip is going to be that we celebrate individuality. So whatever we decide to do, any of these items that we're going to talk about, any cool ideas that you come up with, just make sure that we're celebrating individuality. Oh, I love psychology, and one of the biggest things that I know and love about people is people are very self-centric, and I don't mean that in the negative way, but we love our individuality. Our world, our mindset, it comes from our perspective. It's how we're experiencing everything and how things are affecting us. That's natural mindset. So when we kind of create these items and opportunities, we not only need to think about how does it benefit that individual, but how can we use it to help them express themselves? Because when people are allowed to be individuals and they're allowed to be unique and be creative, they're a lot more engaged. They participate a lot more. We do Spirit Week every week, and it wasn't until we kind of spread out this whole week with really neat ideas that my team voted on that I had the most participation I've had in any year. And to me, like I don't like pajama day. Like I don't necessarily want everybody walking around wearing pajamas. But it's something that like truly brought the team together. It was media material and our customers were able to get involved. So your customers too love that personalization. So you can have them participate, bring your dog in pajamas and get a $5 store credit or, get a raffle ticket and use it for this or that, or be just showcased on social media. People tend to really like that. So allowing people to showcase their individuality is really, really important in any of these games and activities you come up with. Okay, moving into the examples. 10 years, I've tried a lot of things. It doesn't always work well, so I really just picked the ones that did work really well, and I wanted to explain why they worked well. So the first one is going to be Bonusly, and this is an actual brand name of a product that you may have heard of. This is one of the best things I think I've ever done for our culture and for our team members, but there are a lot of similar programs. So this is a reward-based supplemental pay program. Bonusly just happens to be the brand that we use. Basically, it allows everybody to have a particular amount of power where they can reward and celebrate each other, which is fantastic for the culture because if all of your appreciation comes from top down, one, people don't feel like they have as much control, and two, they just don't care as much. But if it comes from a coworker or somebody that they just saw walking in the hall and commented on their shoes, like that means the world to people. For some reason, it just works that way. So Bonusly is an opportunity for people to get a certain amount of whatever you want to give them, points, stars, hot dogs. I think there's a program that uses hot dogs. Sorry if I'm totally wrong on that. But you get this kind of ambiguous reward but you can turn it into, you have a monetary value attached to it. You turn it in for rewards. So these are just some examples of stars is what we call them, but they're points that people have given each other. So it can be anything from, hey, thanks for training me today. Thanks for staying late. Thanks for helping with enrichment sessions. Thanks for handling a seizure like a pro. Thanks for covering my shift. So it kind of gives people an opportunity to celebrate each other as individuals rather than just as leaders to team members. So other benefits that I haven't already discussed is development opportunities. So I wish I could just pull up Bonusly because I could spend a whole hour showing you how much I love it. But there's no time for that. So you'll have to look it up on your own if you're interested. But development's really important to me, and it's really important to our culture and teams. So having Bonusly have a section for development opportunities has been a game changer for us. So you can see just a very small screenshot of some of them. The 7 hacks to critical thinking, I think, is just a like 4-minute video. Basically, it's on Bonusly, and team members, whenever they want, can go watch that 4-minute video, and then they just have to answer a question about it, and they get 10 stars, which again translates to money. The rewards are beneficial for the team members too, because they're individualized. I'm not choosing to give them a gas station gift card. I'm not choosing to give them a new t-shirt or a branded mug. They are getting to pick what they want. And Bonusly offers a wide range, most of these products do, of gift cards, or I think you can just download it into kind of your PayPal account, or maybe it's direct deposit, but you can actually just turn it into regular cash. Most of my team tends to get Amazon gift cards with it when I look at the reports. So there's just a lot of ways for them to turn that in as real money and real benefit to themselves. So getting into some random games, this is one of the easiest thing. I listed it as knowledge game, but that's because I've always played it, but I've never actually named it. So somebody way cleverer than me can come up with a cool name. But I go to the gift shop, to the dollar store, to Kroger, wherever is local to me, and I find adorable little things that make me smile. So this is one of my favorite things to go shopping for when I'm doing inventory. And I just fill a bucket, or you can buy a treasure chest with these random items that make you happy or you think will make other people happy. And every while I just go into the building and I bring my little treasure chest with me, and people know I'm coming because I have the biggest, goofiest smile on my face. And they're like, okay, like what you got today? So in here you can see there's some energy drinks, some notepads, so just a variety of things that'll appeal to different people, but I use it as a random knowledge check. So it's a surprise, it's exciting, it's a hit of dopamine. They win a prize for just answering a simple question. And usually the question is something like, name our 4 values, our 4 core values, or tell me the symptoms of bloat, or tell me what you do in the case of seeing a dog with heat stroke, anything like that. They're basically just little ways to continue development, have an opportunity for a discussion if somebody isn't sure on the answer, and they get a prize anyway, typically after they have to listen to me explain the right answer if they got it wrong. This is just a great, really easy, semi-unplanned way to just have some more engagement, put a smile on people's faces, and they win something that they get to choose. So it's a little bit of a silly one, but it's a really fun one to play. Getting into stuff that takes a little bit more time, second big example is going to be passports. So it doesn't have to look like this at all. You can do whatever you want with it. But basically you're creating almost a visual playboard or a pathway for people to grow and get a benefit from. So in this example, when we rolled out a really big focus on enrichment, created kind of a 10-page packet with examples of things that I wanted people to do with every individual dog. Their goal was to take the instructions, which were located elsewhere, and try that activity. And then they had to take a small video to prove it, that they did it. And I use those videos in training materials for my team and or for marketing materials. So I've just got a ton of saved videos of people engaging with animals, which is wonderful because that's what I want my staff to do. Now I have the media to do it, and they get a big prize for it. Eve, I saw your face pop up.
Yeah, so I was reading how to use this book. So are they doing this with a dog who has purchased this as an add-on?
For when I rolled this out, it didn't have to be purchased. So most of the items in here, and that's just one page of examples for single activities. There's group play pages in there too. So the group play was more of like, this is a leadership opportunity and activity for you so that you don't get bored. The dogs don't get bored. The single activities, I kind of wanted them to give away those free services. We do daily report cards. So even though I don't necessarily have an add-on to go ice digging with a dog, I wanted them to play with it, practice it, and really see the benefit from a firsthand experience rather than me telling them how beneficial it was. And then again, I get that video. So that was nice. Did that answer your
Gotcha.
question?
Yep. Nope. Absolutely. Got it.
Yeah, so lots of pages of this, but one thing I will say is this took a decent amount of effort. It wasn't the cheapest thing I've ever printed for the team, but the nice thing is that I learned what kind of rewards something like this workload required. So with 10 pages of these, there's probably 30, 40, 50 items on there that people have to do to finish the passport. And there's no time limit on this. For this is a, hey, if you want to do it, I'd love for you to do it. I did not actually make this one a requirement. I give it to every single new employee and they can choose to do it. But one of the things I learned is that $100 wasn't really enough to get as much engagement with it as I wanted. So to start kind of the ball rolling with it, I had to offer the first 3 to get $150, the first 3 to turn it in, and I was able to start getting that rolling because everybody saw everybody else doing it and the videos going out and they wanted to be a bigger part of that. So sometimes you do have to be a little bit flexible, I guess, with the prizes and what you're willing to invest, and think of all of these things as learning processes, because I would change quite a few things about this passport if I really wanted to reprint it, including the reward. But it's another really beneficial opportunity to see what they can do, where they can go, and having that visual cue where they can kind of check it off, or your manager initials it, put a sticker on it. It's a game. It's a lot of fun, and it's much more engaging than just asking somebody to go play with a flirt pole. An achievement wall. This doesn't have to be a wall, but again, we're kind of talking about the visual aspects of the game, the flashy, pretty colors, getting the prizes, seeing the finish line. All of that's really important in the psychology of having people really be engaged. So this is a picture from our facility. Please excuse my artwork. During COVID, I had nothing better to do than to attempt to color my walls, and I am not an artist. So yes, I drew those flowers, and yes, I love them, and eventually I'll repaint them, so don't judge. But the achievement wall is basically for us, and it can be anything that you decide. It's right in the center of everything. So it's right past our kitchen. All of our employees see it every single day on their way to the back. All of the customers see it on their tours. All of our new employees see it as they walk by, which is really important because it gives them a sense of which direction they want to go, and a little bit of competition so that they can get more awards. So I know it's really hard to see in this picture, but when somebody stays for a year, because tenure is important for us, it's one of our goals, try to lower turnover, increase the longevity of our employees. When they stay a year, they get a hook with their name on it. They also get a special leash, which is a different color than all of the leashes that are in our building. So our typical color is purple. And once they hit 1 year, they get an orange leash. So once they hit 3 years, they get a different color leash. Once they hit 5, once they hit 10. So it kind of keeps increasing. So it's nice because it builds a lot of feelings of being important to people, because I know if I walk around with my orange leash and I have a new employee walk by and they see my orange leash, they might ask me a question that they wouldn't ask somebody else. They also add all of the certifications on top of them. So if they go down a leadership track and they become the boarding lead, or if they get their AKC certification or their PAC certification or whatever it is that you have in your pathway for people, they get an extra little visual star or badge on the wall that stays there forever. So it's beneficial for the employees because they aim towards that now. It's something that if this had just gone out in Slack or in a text message, like, hey, don't forget you could get your PAC certification if you wanted to, they can see it every single day and they work towards it and they want it more because their friends are getting it. And it's really nice for your customers too, because your customers see all of these certifications. It's a talking point and it builds a lot of trust for you. This doesn't have to be exactly what you do. It's just an idea, but the visual aspect of it is the biggest benefit. So even if this really isn't your jam or doesn't work with your employees or your setup, you can even do something as simple as putting a whiteboard somewhere that's just for employees to play tic-tac-toe on, or draw pictures together, or buy one of those big coloring book pages. People love impacting their environment. It gives them a really good sense of control, just as much as being an individual does. So giving them an opportunity to do that is something that brings a lot of joy into a culture. Bingo cards. These are pretty simple, a lot simpler than the passports. And you can use this for a variety of things. So I used it one year, as you can see on the left here, for learning opportunities. So through Bonusly and through our training program, we had some additional learning opportunities for our team members, and I wanted more participation with them. So towards the end of the year, I created a learning bingo card. And anybody who had already learned those items or had taken advantage of those development opportunities got a star or an initial or a check mark or whatever it is that we did to mark it. And then if they had some left to finish up, their extra opportunity to do so came with a bonus. So if they got bingo, I think we made them fill their bingo card for this one, so it technically wasn't bingo, but I still gave them the free space, so we kind of pretended it was bingo. They were able to fill their card. They learned all of these opportunities that I wanted them to, which included a lot of personal development, and then they got an extra bonus for completing that. You can do that with cleaning activities too. If you have a spring cleaning list, that's a great one. If you want to do that for training, working with dogs, enrichment, even sales, if you see, one employee's just not doing really well on kind of upselling or explaining different add-on options, you can hand them a bingo card. Well, don't single them out, hand everybody a bingo card and have them kind of sell all of those things. So learning how to sell that frozen peanut butter Kong and actually getting the sale, they might have to try it a few times, but at least they're trying it and then they get their little bingo card check mark. So it's a great opportunity. This also kind of allows you for some tracking items, which we're going to talk about too. It's really, really important that we're tracking the engagement levels, and it can be used to see who's actually doing the work that you ask them to. Scavenger hunts is kind of the last example, another kind of easier one. If you have a new person, I really like this for my new employees specifically, but you can do this for a lot of different things. I found that when we were training new employees, one of the first things we were doing was walking them through the building and saying, here's where we keep our Kongs and here's where we keep the chemicals and the SDS sheets. And they were not retaining that information because joining our facility is like drinking from a fire hose. It just takes a lot of repetition and time to learn everything. So the scavenger hunt is something that we came up with to allow them to kind of learn at their own pace, but still check those boxes that were important to us. So after a few days of training, the scavenger hunt is something that we send them off to do on their own. So we hand them their paper. They have to find these items. They can ask other team members for help, but they have to really just go explore the building. And once they get it done, you can give them a prize of maybe their favorite snack or their first bonusly points or whatever it is that you've decided. But that's kind of their first integration into your gaming culture. So it's kind of sets the expectation that we have fun here and this is how we're going to do it. I'm not just going to show you where these items are. You're going to go hunt them down. And there's also something just really strange inherently. Like we love things as humans, like Where's Waldo and hide and go seek. Like we just love finding things. So you can actually use this concept for a lot of other activities, even if it's not terribly beneficial to the business outside of culture. Easter egg hunts, hiding notes around the building or small gift cards under chairs. I mean, we love that stuff as people. One of the things that my team still talks about that I probably wouldn't replicate because I just think it's strange is there was a picture of the owner of our building and it was just like his head cut out. And for some reason, somebody started a game where they hid Steve, our owner, and they just hide his picture in random spots. If you found it, you got a $5 gift card, and then your job was to hide the picture of Steve. And people still talk about that game to this day. And it was very bizarre to like open a cupboard and have Steve's face there. But they loved it. So it's just a really quick, easy way to get people involved in talking to each other and having fun. We love finding things. Okay, so easy ways to play. So I don't want to fill up time with examples. This is another thing that I could talk about forever, but I want to give you guys a chance to talk about some of the things on that list that we just went over are really time consuming. They're slightly expensive, and that might not be a good fit for everybody. But there are so many easy ways that we can just have fun and play games. If you have a spin wheel, you can put any sort of prizes on it. People like spinning. We love gambling almost as much as hide and go seek. So, there was one year that we had a goal to sell, I think, some sort of new add-on that we have, and forgive me, my memory is terrible, but every time that somebody got that for a customer or did it for a dog, they got to spin the wheel, and there was anything on there from like, free lunch to a $5 gift card to a free drink from Wendy's, which was the closest restaurant that I would have to go to get their drink. So you can make that really, really catered to what your budget is and what your team wants. Then you have things like ballot boxes. So you can even make, voting opportunities. If the team is doing really well as a whole and they're not forgetting to send home a dog's belongings, you can track that information and then promote that, this person did not forget to send home a belonging. You get a ticket or you get a coin or whatever it is, and they get to vote on certain things. So as a team succeeding together, they get to decide with their vote what they're going to get as a prize. So that's another kind of fun way. You don't decide for them. They get to make a choice as a group. So tickets, coins, kind of same thing. They can collect them, they can spend them, you can raffle them, they can put it in vote jars. The weird little map up in the right corner is kind of what we talked about with the passports. It's a visual pathway with a finish line, so you can turn that into anything. Learning pathway, promotion pathway, any sort of visual cue to make it a little bit more game-like. People just really pay attention to that a lot more and they engage and connect with it more. And then I realize now that you might not even be able to understand what that is without any context. So the bottom right picture is a board with balloons, which you don't see too terribly often anymore. But if you have a gift card or a gift certificate or a ticket that has something written on it, it's a prize board. You hide them in or behind the balloons. And if somebody does something really well, like they make the sale or they were on time 10 times in a row, they can throw a dart at the balloon, and for some reason getting the prize by throwing a dart at it is a lot more fun than just being handed a gift card. So the gamification, the fun noise, the throwing of the dart, all of that is much more enjoyable to building the culture and having the game part of it than just getting $5 or a pat on a back. So then easy prizes, we went over a little bit of these. Any sort of gift card, especially things that are Amazon gift cards or Visa gift cards where people can personalize what they're getting with it. Having on-hand energy drinks that people can choose from, or even doing a survey when somebody gets hired or once a year, having them update it. What's your favorite energy drink? And then getting that specific one for them, kind of personalizing that gift. Those are pretty easy, low-cost ones. Days off or even just paid time off if you give them an hour for doing X, Y, or Z in their paid time off. That goes a long way for somebody. Tickets, candy, and then I put stars on here because that's what we give out through Bonusly. But whatever it is you decide to make your thing that you're allowing people to give to each other, give those away. And kind of lastly here is going to be the tracking. The tracking is really, really important and one of my favorite parts of doing things in this way, kind of creating these games to where I'm getting signatures and check marks and videos. It's something that gives benefit to me in a very measurable way. So it can assess the engagement levels at review time. So if you see the graph on the right, those are the Bonusly stars that were given this past month from my team. It's probably a little bit hard to see because it's probably a little small on the screen. But if you were to look at the very, very top, that would be my name at the top. I've given away 150 of my stars this month or whichever month. I think this might be 2 months ago. And the one below me is a manager. The one below that is a manager. And then it's a grooming attendant. If I work all the way down towards the bottom, I see there's 5 or 6 people, maybe a couple more, that didn't give away any stars that month. And that's an opportunity for me to have a conversation, or somebody on our leadership team to have a conversation with that person and say, I see that you haven't really celebrated anyone or been thankful for anyone. Is there, something going on? Is there a way that we can help you engage a little bit more? Did you forget? Do you need your password reset? So it helps us understand what the individuals are doing and how they're engaging, which can be a part of our performance review. So if somebody wants a promotion, one of the things that we have on our promotion pathway is the importance of engaging with our culture. So somebody can do a really good job in boarding and they want to become a manager, but if they're not really embodying the values that we've decided, which would be that we have a fun, supportive, and friendly environment, if I'm not seeing that in a measurable form, I might skip over that person for somebody who is actually embodying what we've decided our culture should be. So it's a measurable way. And a lot of these games are, think about your bingo card, think about your passport. All of these things are signatures. You're getting proof that somebody knows how to do something or did do something. And it kind of helps you with the people that not only are engaging, but you can understand where their knowledge level is at too. So I hate the question, or when I ask somebody or try to coach them and they say, I didn't know that, or nobody ever taught me that. That's like, oh, that makes me cringe inside. So this is this is one of my ways that I kind of keep track of some of that stuff too. So if people do the scavenger hunt, then I can see invisible proof that's now in their file that they know exactly where the trash bags are. So they can't really use that as an excuse for not changing the trash bag. So it helps all across the board. It helps with engagement, it helps them be more involved. It helps us track and see what we need to do better. And it gives us really valuable, measurable feedback for what we can do for the very next year. So we're going to use all of the data that we had this year to plan our next year along with our staff. So I am curious, again, I'm one person with my own experiences in my own little corner of Ohio. What have you guys done at your facilities that has worked? Give us some new ideas. And Eve, I think we'll read them off.
Yes, put them in the chat. So I kind of talked about how I have asked my staff, like, what did they want to see for training? What did they, kind of, what did they need that I could help provide? And I always ask the question too, like, from a business sense, like, what do they feel they need to learn more about? And also on that, again, that personal level, I think is super important. Richard Branson said that, or I'm sorry, Simon Sinek said that, parents have not done their part. Education system hasn't necessarily maybe fulfilled their part. So now it's us as small business owners that need to raise, educate, and fulfill all of those roles of parent, educator, and boss. So that's where I always try and look to see what it is that that my staff need from us, so to speak. So,
Yeah.
um,
I love that. I just read a book called The Anxious Generation,
oh
and
yeah,
I read it because we saw such a shift, as I'm sure everybody did after COVID, in like what our employees wanted and what their concerns were. And it took a really long time to have us kind of revamp everything to meet them at their needs, especially, Gen Z, who just grew up very, very differently than a lot of the leadership roles that are in our
right.
facilities right now. And it was really interesting to see, because I think every generation like semi hates the other generation. We always complain about them. But we all grow up very, very differently. And so as leaders that are not from the Gen Z generation that we're actually working with a lot now, and to your point, teaching, they need a different type of leadership. And so we have to kind of revamp what we're doing to engage with them and keep them going strong
Yeah.
with us.
Stephanie's comment is they've tried various things, potluck, cash bonus rewards for completing courses, and it's the follow through that seems to get them hung up. And I
Yeah.
think that's with a lot of us, right? Like the staff start out with, yeah, we're going to do this. And then it crashes and burns. Um,
Or they want it, but the work is not worth the reward. So when you're talking about
there
potluck,
you go.
like, yes, I love free food. Please bring all of the food, but do I actually want to make the food? No, not quite. So remembering that asking them for effort for something that's probably a little bit more meaningful for us is there's a little bit of a disparity there. So I think you're
Sure.
right, Stephanie. I mean, just asking what they want, you also kind of have to do that internal marketing. I had to teach all of my leaders that uh, it wasn't it wasn't good enough for me to say like this is a great prize. I hope you do it. Like they really had to start asking people on their way out the door, like, oh my gosh, did you do anything with your passport today? So something like that, like just a reminder, a check-in, being a hype team behind it really is the only way to get people going. What are you bringing to the potluck? Like, did you make it yourself? Where did you get your recipe? Having those conversations will get a little bit more engagement, hopefully.
You did 7 Fridays of potluck. Yeah, I would have given up after 2. Bless
Okay.
your heart.
Yeah,
Um,
Stephanie, good job. I'm sorry about your potlucks.
right, right. And that same thing. And I also look at it too. I've had several people in leadership positions that have been like, oh, I want to do a Thanksgiving dinner for everybody and have all the staff come in and we do a community Thanksgiving. And like 4 people out of 30 show up. And it's
Yeah,
like, how
yeah.
does that work? Right?
So I stopped doing my summer's end parties for I think 2 years after COVID because nobody wanted, like, that's just not what they want anymore. Like, they don't want to be
Right.
forced into fun. So I've now had to give them a benefit for coming to the summer's end party. So not only did I survey them and say, like, what would make you come, I actually started giving away awards this year that my team voted on, and they have to like show up to see who got the awards. So there's a little bit of mystery to see, like, am I
There
going to
you
get
go.
that award? And so they show up for that at very least. And then if they show up, I have a brand new branded t-shirt for this year, and they have to actually come in to the summer's end party to get their free t-shirt. If not, it'll be available for them to purchase with their bonus lease stars. So not asking them for real money, but if they want that additional brand new t-shirt, they should at very least show up, see the awards, get the free food. So I'm just trying to like make it even more exciting to get that in-person participation, which is really hard these days.
Right, right. Let's see, Laura. She just started at a vet hospital and they have pup bucks. So if someone
Oh.
shouts them out on their shout out boards, they receive pup bucks to cash in for gift cards. That's
Love
interesting. I
that.
like that idea.
Pup Bucks is really cute. That's genius.
Yeah, yeah. And that, and then somebody talks about they do an employee of the month trophies and each gets cash or reward, but it's always the same 3 out of 16 employees who show up. And that is something that we struggle with too. So one of my virtual assistants actually sends my leadership team a week before the end of the month a reminder of, have we nominated all the people that we need to nominate? Have we, have we filled the gap to ensure that everybody got a little note of appreciation of some sort into the bucket to potentially be our employee of the month?
Yeah.
And I will be very honest, when the employee of the month idea was floated, I told them and I said, here's what I don't want to happen. I don't want it to fall on me. I don't want to have to be the one that has to every month, like, figure out who the employee of the month is, because that's not how it should work. It shouldn't be the boss's favorite.
Yes.
It should be the coworker's favorite, right? And
Yeah.
and what they bring to the table. So yeah, so we just have a reminder that goes out to all the staff a week before the end of the month of, hey, have you nominated or have you acknowledged those people that helped out this month or went above and beyond, or et cetera, as a way to do that. So yeah,
Yeah. I love that.
it does get to be difficult. Laura wants to know what kind of awards. Oh, I'm assuming the trophies. Stephanie, you have to answer that question in the chat. What kind of thing do you do? Uh, we do Thanksgiving dinner for the team that are working on the holiday and they love it. Yep, absolutely. We 100% do that too. We do them on the holidays. We just bring it in for those people who are working, because that's a benefit of showing up to work, right? They get a little extra something, something, and they usually do love it. I actually had a client who wanted to feed all my staff and um, brought in a roaster, and like, oh my God, it was
Wow.
literally a spread. And then they brought in little apple cider or apple juice bottle, so it looked like champagne. It was like super cute. But yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Someone wants to know, what is the PAC certificate? And do you have a link you can share more on this?
There are quite a few certifications and more coming all the time, thank goodness for our industry. But PAC, PACCC is one of the certifications that you can get as
Yep.
an operator, manager, or a team member. So you can offer it to different levels of your company. But it's all about focused on pet care and running a pet boarding daycare facility.
There you go.
PACCC.
Yeah. And if you are PAC certified or want to get PAC certified, Dog Handler Academy counts as a lot of your credits. So just FYI.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
Yes. Laura says, what awards, Alex, do you do for your staff? Shows
Oh.
you to see who received them. So give us
This
some examples.
this was our first year doing it, so I have them. I haven't given any of them out yet. It'll be at our summer's end party in a couple of weeks. But we had a vote, and as a management team, we came up for what the votes were going to be. But we did a front of house MVP We have to describe exactly who that MVP should be. Somebody who shows up, somebody who's always positive, somebody who's helpful, somebody who handles the animals really well. So front of house MVP, back of house MVP. We did a report card superstar. So somebody who writes the best comments for the pets in the pet parents report cards, because that's something that's just really important for our industry and people are reading each other's
Yeah.
comments. That vote was by far like the tightest one because people like different things about each other's report cards. Anyway, we also did the hype human. So somebody who always comes in really positively, who always cheers other people up. So the hype human was a vote. And then we did a coach's choice where we allowed our management team to pick somebody who we felt had really just excelled in development and growth and, picked up each other's shifts, just things that I don't think everybody would have seen. So we did a coach's choice as well.
Nice. Nice. I love the hype one.
They're basically trophies. So awards, trophies, they have their name on it. They have the
Yeah.
year, they have what they won, and they'll get to keep it forever.
Nice. I love that. Yeah, the hype person. And I can tell you too, like, um, when you start to implement these things and things die off, like, Stephanie, having people write kudos for coworkers, like it is tough. And so we just use Google Calendar a lot, and then our receptionist is responsible for, that little Google alarm pops up on their screen, and then it's their responsibility to then do a home-based message or to walkie-talkie, like, hey
Yeah.
guys, don't forget, blah, 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 right? So our front desk person, although, 99% of their job is client interaction, that other 1 or 2% is staff interaction. And so it's a task that we do put on our front desk people to have them kind of be our hype person and kind of, remind the staff and help to keep them engaged.
Yeah.
I like to do it that way because I can randomly put stuff in the little Google Calendar and be like, at 2 o'clock tomorrow, I want you to tell all the staff to take the dogs in a circle and do the Macarena, right? Like I can like create engagement stuff
Yeah.
as I like think of things.
No, that's
Um,
great.
yeah, and instead of like, trying to home base it and make sure the manager like remembers to do it or whatever.
No.
And then here's the receptionist at the front desk working, and then that little Google. So that kind of works out. So let's see here. All right, what do you all use for employee communication for the group as a whole? So we use Homebase and group chat. So I have multiple chats within my Homebase. I have a front desk chat. I have an entire team chat. I have a manager chat. So we just have various chats within Homebase. Alex, what do
We
you guys use?
we use Slack, but I've heard really, really, really good things, a lot more than usual recently about Connect Team, which
Mm,
Carmela just listed. So one of
yeah.
those two would be my suggestion.
Yeah. For my virtual staff, we use Trello
Oh, yeah,
because then
that's a good
there's
one.
checklists and that type of thing. I tried it with my maintenance guy, but he's a little old school, so we just text message. Facebook Messenger, you can create different chats too. I know some people use WhatsApp. Again, just creating chats and things like that. So, yeah, there's a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When your staff, what is one of the prizes that your staff kind of covets, Alex? Like, what's one of the prizes that people are always like, oh my gosh, I love getting this, or I would like to get this? Like, you seem to have a lot of different prize options. So, what's one thing that if we were to try and implement, what's one prize that they really like?
I jokingly call industry workers, because I used to work in restaurants as well, vultures. Like we love all food, all coffee, all energy drinks, anything that just gets us going a little bit faster and happier. So that's probably one of the go-to. I see people turning in their rewards on Bonusly for Amazon gift cards. That's the go-to, although I've seen like getting a Nike gift card, and some people are turning it in for swag and branded things, although that's very, very, very few.
Right.
But Amazon gift cards, Visa gift cards, people love that. Paid time off has been maybe like third or fourth highest, but usually people want that something in their hand right now.
Gotcha. I mean, you can get anything on Amazon.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Well, I know some people are taking off, so I just want to say I put it
yeah,
up
absolutely.
QR code, but if you do want to contact me, my email is also alex@pinnaclepets.com. Happy to talk anyone, anytime, share anything. So if you need help, let me know.
I think we're going to want more pictures of your different prizes and games because I was like, oh, the balloon thing, like, how cool is that?
Yeah. Well, I love Canva, so I create just a ridiculous amount of pretty things because it makes me happy. So if anybody wants documents or anything, let me know. I also have my website for it's a new company. It's called Considerably Bold. I'll send out newsletters, but I also write articles and tips and tricks specific to pet care industry, but also just small business in general. So we'll focus a lot on things like engagement opportunities and teaching teams and checklists and all those things. So if you
Ooh,
are interested, sign up.
perfect. You want to put that in the chat just so then that way we got
Yeah.
that info on there. That would be great. When you have a new hire, when do you introduce your booklet and these things to your new hires?
Well, you're gonna think I'm a huge nerd. I love lists. So our new hire process is actually one of the things that I speak about pretty frequently is onboarding and training new employees. And over the years, we've created our own video-based training program to be supplemented by programs like Dog Handler Academy, but it's specific to our facility.
Yep.
And
You
we have,
got to do that. You got to
yeah.
do that.
Well, we've got the videos and we've got the QR codes around our facility. So if somebody forgets how to fill a peanut butter Kong, they snap a picture of the QR code. It's a 2-minute video because it can't be longer than that because they have to be TikToks. So then in addition, they get a training folder. So depending on what position they're in, it's a checklist and it has two areas for check marks. So the first one is for the trainer to say, "Hi, I'm Alex. I trained this new employee on how to fill peanut butter Kongs." And then there's one check mark area for the employee themselves when they feel comfortable and competent in filling the peanut butter Kongs and this long list of everything else they have to learn, then they initial it. So by the end of their training, after they've worked with a variety of people, doing a variety of things, everybody can kind of look through and say, okay, it looks like you're still not comfortable with peanut butter Kongs. Let's spend some time doing that now. And so it creates a documented way for everybody to say, like, I was trained this, I did train this, I know how to do it and feel comfortable doing it. And again, that measurable CYA, put it in the file. Then they have to pass a certification. But in that folder, they get things like the best ways to engage, like how to get more money, their advancement pathway and career growth opportunities, and their passport.
Gotcha. You give them on the whole shoot match.
Sometimes you just kind of get tired of dealing with the same issue, so you solve the problem. That was me solving the problem.
No, that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, no, 100%, because that is it too. I mean, by also getting them excited,
Yeah,
as those new hires, because those first few weeks of learning can be overwhelming. They can feel inadequate.
yeah,
So by giving them those things up front, so that way they know that there is a pathway, there is something more
yeah.
than just what they're experiencing in that moment. So
I think the clarity is comforting. I think we used to have new trainees come in and we'd be like, "Oh, you're with Heather today. Like, here you go, Heather. Here's your trainee. She's on like day 3. Good luck." And there was no clarity and no pathway. And so I think it helps them feel more comfortable and confident coming in. They know what they're going to do for the day. They know what they still need to do to be
sure.
certified. And then it helps the trainer to understand what the heck they're supposed to be doing with the trainee. So it's been really good for confidence building.
Nice. I love it. I love it. All right, so we went a little over as usual. That's just how it works. That is just how it works. So, if you're watching the replay and have any questions, you know how to reach out to Alex. And Alex, where will we find you next?
I will be at Hershey, Pennsylvania, in November for the Pet Boarding and Daycare Expo.
Fabulous. So, if you have not made plans to be at Hershey, you definitely should attend. We will be there as well as Dog Handler Academy. I'm also presenting at Hershey. Um, can be a little overwhelming to go, but you will be with around 650 usually.
It's a good time.
Yeah, to be around people in the industry, people wanting to get into this industry, it's always great. So definitely make a point to try and attend. And certainly reach out to Alex if you have any questions. And Alex, thank you again for joining us and being part of our webinar summits. We always like to engage with other people and to just get fabulous ideas and to share other people's knowledge with the, I would say globally, because
Yeah.
we have people all over the international areas. So I appreciate it. And everybody have a fabulous evening. Stay safe. Engage your staff, because if you do not invest in your staff, then you're constantly the hamster on the wheel and trying to recreate. So thank you all and have a fabulous night.
Thank you.